Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we are taking a deeper dive into our thoughts about Madison and Allan.
Listen here, this is going to be about the fallout because truth be told, I'm actually proud of Allan, the way he fell out, the way he actually showed some spine a little bit. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Look, we going to continue on with these rants. You know what I mean? I know I ranted at y'all yesterday, but I actually want to talk to y'all this time. And just overall, Blair, watching this episode, some would say this episode was actually one of the best episodes of Married at First Sight, the franchise.
Oh, absolutely. Like I would say of all time.
Right?
Yeah.
Of all time?
Of all time.
As number one?
Yeah.
Like, just seeing everything unravel for Allan and things like that, and just from your POV of taking notes and watching it, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts were it was taking Allan a little bit to click things together.
Yeah.
Michelle was kind of breadcrumbing him, and it was a bit hard to watch because he really put his trust into Madison.
Yeah.
And he really allowed her into a space into his heart, which he says she's kind of like holds a space in my heart. Like she's kind of engraved on my heart. And because of that, it just crumbled him. Like he was like devastated by the whole situation. And it was sad to see his wheels start clicking and also for him to be the last to know.
Yeah.
And that's like the absolute worst feeling, to feel like, where was I when all this was going on? Like what did I miss? What did I do? What part did I play? And because Allan is such like an introspective guy and he's so willing and ready to make changes to make his relationship work, like it hurt me to watch him possibly think that it was something that he could have done differently, or just by the fact that he was snaked so badly by somebody that he really trusted. So it was tough to watch.
Yeah, and I want to take your words and just modify it for me because I just don't want to say, oh, same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think to be snaked by David.
That too.
Right? To me, I think that's where it hurts, right? I think with Allan, if you watch our deep dives throughout the season and things like that, or even just our review on the episodes, I've been very like stern with Allan of, hey, Allan, stand up for yourself. Don't be a pushover and things like that. Hey, love that crooked smile. Love things about yourself for you and things of that nature. We just did a video on crooked smile last week. So I've been basically, I believe, Allan's big motivator. You get what I'm saying? If you want to view it that way. And actually, this episode, I gave Allan a lot of credit. Because I was like, yes, this is what I like to see. This is what I like to, like, some testosterone. Some like, you know what? No, I don't want to hear how much you and my wife vibe. F you and F her too. You get what I'm saying? Like, I like the fact that he outside crashing out and things of that nature. Give him room. Give him space. Juan, get away from here. Right? But I want to talk about one of our commenters, one of her comments, and I just want to address it because I don't want to go back and forth in the comment section. And I think this is actually a good topic.
It is a good conversation starter
to talk about it. So thank you for the conversation starter. Kayla, you read it for me, Blair?
Yeah, so it's Love Black Daria.
Hello.
Love your username as well. Y'all need to stop victim blaming.
Huh?
Allan doesn't need to share in the blame. He does need to grow a backbone for sure, but he was hurt and lied to and gaslit to hell.
Okay.
The end. Y'all sound like how people treat DV victims coming to talk about being abused, and the focus is on why they didn't leave sooner. We can get to all that, but at the moment, support and validating how that person feels is all that is needed. If a person isn't able to stand up for themselves, how does ragging on them for it going to help? People in pain need empathy and understanding, not judgment.
Wait a minute. The episode that I decide not to rag on Allan. First of all, let's get something clear. Allan is not a DV victim. And I know that's not what you're saying, but to even compare it is like not even close. Right?
If I was Allan, I would be offended that you would compare me to a DV
Truth
victim.
be told, if I was Allan, I'd be offended by everything you said.
Yeah.
Because how can you basically say, hey, don't victim blame and don't basically rag dog him? Yes, he need to grow a backbone. It's like, no. This ain't the time. Just like you said, this ain't the time. I want to give a scenario, and I just by the name, I'm 100% sure, or at least 99% sure, that this is a woman, right? So let me give you an example of how men and women think, right? I remember when I was learning how to ride my bike, I had a ghetto bike. When I say a ghetto bike, I had a bike that had no brakes, right? When I was a kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, right? When I said no brakes, meaning that the bike went forward, and if I pedal backwards, it didn't stop, it went backwards. So I would reverse down the street the same way as I was going forward, right?
Yeah.
And when I was 4, and I fell off the bike on the training wheels and things like that, my dad will yank me up by the arm, right? And cause I'll be crying, and he'll carry my bike back to the house while also carrying me while I'm crying, right? And as I got older and older and things of that nature, and that was when I was 4 and 5, and then when I got 7, 8, and 9 and things of that nature, when I used to fall off the bike, because I still was falling off the bike at 9 years old and things like that, driving fast, going down hills and things like that. When I would fall off the bike, I would have to pick up my own bike and walk home. Or I would have to ride it back home with a scraped knee. You get what I'm saying? All those things. Listen here, right? We are not, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and some other male reviewers and things like that I watch and things of that nature. We are not going to give Allan compassion in the way that a lot of women would give him compassion, right? That's why my signs say don't pity Allan, because that's not gonna be good for you. Talk about Allan and things of that nature, right? Allan, in that moment, he needed a hug from a man, because I do believe men do need more hugs.
Yeah.
But in that moment, he needed to crash out. In that moment, he needed to express how he felt. And also, in that moment, he needed accountability, not blame. Allan was the one who said he would cut off a toe for Madison's approval. Did I make that up, Blair?
You did not.
Allan was the one who said he knew since day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Am I making that up, Blair?
Nope.
Allan was the one who said, I'm at dinner and she's looking at me with disgust in her eyes. Am I making that up, Blair?
Nope.
So all this stuff, Allan was the one who heard his wife say, I'm Switzerland in this marriage. Am I making that up, Blair?
No, and that was wild.
So that was crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not lying, right? If I'm lying, I'm flying and I'm still in my chair, right? So Allan knowing these things and basically still saying that she's engraved on my heart. Who told you to do that?
I even want to throw in another thing that Allan said, that has this place in my heart which she didn't earn. So these are things that he knows,
that he said out his mouth
and recognized, but he did not take action on them. He tried to bring up situations with Dr. Pia, Dr. Pepper, and saying that, hey, are you even attracted to me? She's coming home at 3, 4 in the morning multiple times a night. So there's an issue there, but he made the relationship so comfortable. And in the other episode, we talked about how Michelle created soil for an unhappy marriage.
Yeah.
And Allan created soil for a complacent marriage. And in that, he, in a way, allowed his wife to run over him and to pretty much do whatever she wanted in the relationship. And the thing is that, yes, I can speak truth to the fact that when there are people in situations to where they are basically the victim and they had no part in the crimes or the atrocities that were done to them, or even just snaking, we don't have to go all the way to atrocities. If you're the victim in that situation, then absolutely you don't hold any blame in that situation. That's not an argument that he did anything wrong or should have done anything different when it came to his relationship. But not trying to speak out both sides of my mouth, let me clarify. As far as he couldn't have done anything different in order to make her stay at home. Like, there's nothing he could have done to make her a loyal wife. But there are things that he can glean from the situation that he can take on to his next relationship in ways that he shows up in his other friendships, work relationships, or whatever, to basically show up as though you have self-worth. And if you know and see that people aren't placing you or treating you in the way that you deserve to be treated, you don't have to be the one to succumb to that. You don't have to be the person to go along to get along. And I think that his crash out moment was a realization that I gave her too much access to me. I allowed her too close to me because everything she did, the girl was looking at me with disgust, but I still would have gone to bat for her 1,000% and taken a yes on decision day in order for us to just give it a chance. And I think this here is showing Allan that I can move differently, not to say that it will change how people see me or treat me or whatever the case may be, but I can be in a position to where I don't have to be hurt as badly because I didn't let you as close.
Look, the bottom line is work on your self-esteem, man. Yeah. Like that's what it is. In this moment, when it comes to how I chose to basically comfort Allan, I'm not going to pity him. I'm not going to be like, oh, Allan, and basically pick him up. Mm-hmm. That's not what he needs. That's not going to make him better. The reason why I don't agree with the victim blaming is because, number one, Allan, all these things Allan knew. He wasn't ignorant to it, right? So to Blair's point, his change of behavior is not to convince the other party, but to actually put a wall up for yourself and to basically be like, you know what, I'm not accepting you coming in 3:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to put myself through pain and say I will cut off a toe. He's at the he's at the bumper car place talking about, is there's any way that you want to take a gamble? The fact that he even said gamble lets him know that he knows it's going to be no.
And my question to Allan is, why would you want to be in a relationship with somebody who stays out till 3-4 in the morning multiple times a night, who doesn't kiss you, who's not tender with you?
Exactly.
And those are the things that we're saying that, Allan, protect yourself, because you don't deserve to have someone in the innermost spaces of your heart treating you that way.
And also protect yourself, because no one's going to feel sorry for you. Mm-hmm. That's really the reality of it. The women are going to feel sorry for you because they're watching this show and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't want to date someone like you. Mm-hmm. And things like that. Someone who allows somebody to walk all over them. They would pity you, and in some ways that's disrespectful to his character, things like that. He's a grown man, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing all these things. So when I see this comment and things like that, and for you to even to acknowledge it yourself, saying he needs to grow a backbone, and guess what? I'm gonna give Madison her blame 100%. She gaslit him the whole time. Right?
Absolutely,
100% gaslit him. But this is not a situation to where someone comes and talk about DV, something that is actually a crime, something that's actually nasty and
plays on your mental faculties and your ability to see clearly. Allan saw everything.
Exactly, and he chose not to accept
on it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. This is not even the same situation with Ikechi and MM, right? To where Ikechi is playing on MM's mental and things of that nature and things of that nature. I should say things of that nature twice. Things of that nature, right?
3 times for good measure.
This is not that. This is a situation to where Allan knows and he sees that he's being treated unfairly, and he is basically saying, okay, one day though, right? You go take a gamble, right? Okay, and it's a compiling of other things, but this is not a situation where we blame DV victims. Not even close.
But right? I think that it also stands to show that, yes, when somebody is going through a tough situation or the recipient of this, absolutely, if you're their friend, their family member, you're not going to say, I hear you, but protect your neck. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to allow them the space to get their issue off, to come to different realizations, for them to get to a place of better understanding. And then maybe when y'all revisit the conversation, you can say, like, hey, like, I know you realize some things or whatever the case may be, and hopefully that, you know, sustains you and supports you in your next situation, that you don't have to put up with the things that you put up with. And I can understand this person saying, like, hey, he was done wrong. Maybe we don't need to talk about things that he could learn from the situation right now.
Why not?
But the thing is, as reviewers, we're talking about things from all angles.
Yes.
We're not sitting down with Allan as his friend or his brother or his sister and giving him the space to get his issue off. We're talking about things from all angles in order to form a better picture of what people, not just Allan, but people in situations like Allan. I mean, everybody has played the fool sometime in their life or their love life. I definitely have. And there are certain things that you learn and that you grow from and that you learn not to put up with in order to protect your peace. And that's just the reality of the situation.
And like I said, there's no beef. Like, this is
it's just a conversation starter.
And the thing about it is, I understand she said maybe it was my delivery, maybe it was my tone. Well, if that's the case, I'm the anti Black Daria, because my tone is never gonna be monotone and things of that nature. I'm gonna be very passionate.
Okay.
Right? Very, you know. So when I see Allan, I give him no blame for anything. I give him blame, but you gotta take accountability. You may not be the reason, but you gotta fix it though, and things of that nature. Now, what is your thoughts on Madison and all of this?
Yeah.
Because this is actually my comment that I said, why should we focus on, like, giving compassion to Allan? I'd rather give all the blame to Madison. I'd rather focus on the wrong party than actually focus on giving compassion to Allan.
But you can do both at the same time.
I can't.
Okay. I mean, like, I can feel compassion that he went through something so awful, and I can also say, Madison, you're trash for doing this to that man. You know what I'm saying?
And the reason why it's hard for guys from a guy's perspective.
Because it's that man thing. It's like
the reason why, because if Allan was my boy, it would have been so many conversations that we would have had of, bruh, she comes at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know this. You doing this. Like, it would have been so many things we would have listed. And then eventually we would have been like, whatever you allow, you accept. Right? So that's how guys basically be compassionate towards each other. We would give you the way, and we'd be like, bruh, like, you do not, what's the word? This should not be happening to you, right? You should not accept this, right? But once you accept it and you over here is talking about you will cut off your toe, us as guys, we wipe our hands clean and be like,
it's your life.
It's your life, and then we move on. You know what I'm saying?
I can't convince you.
But let's talk about Madison.
Yeah, Madison, she is diabolical.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the way that she moved in this situation. And look, we can talk about how she moved in her relationship of coming home late at night, ditching Allan to go dancing with Carla, and somehow David pops up. Text. Okay. And then seeing that you guys were talking about the gym, but when it's time for your text to come up, there's no thread. Madison, please. She just went about it really dumb, and she was diabolical. But I really want to speak to how the situation was handled as far as the news being delivered to Allan.
That was wild.
And I felt like it was so hurtful and disrespectful for her to be his wife in this experiment, as serious as she wanted to take it or not, for her not to have a conversation with him about where she actually stood. This lady was lying to this man for the whole entirety of the process. They went on this go-kart date, and he asked, is there a part of you that wants to keep things going? And she was like, there is a part of me. But when she's talking to David, she said, I can't do this no more. I'm like, oh, so you can speak freely. You can be honest. You can be raw. But when it comes to Allan, you're so concerned about being nice or appearing to be nice that you are actually harming him in the process. It does him no good to think that you are actually in it with him. Give the man the honesty so he can know how to move and how to handle the situation accordingly. Yep. It's terrible. And then when she wants to hide when he's upset, and I'll give y'all this, he was really upset. He was punching cabinets. But the thing is, y'all, he wasn't punching nobody. Okay? He wasn't punching nobody.
Well, I think that's more on Allan.
He did say he didn't want to see her. So, okay, fine, whatever.
Allan said, I feel like hurting somebody. I feel like I'll be like, David back there, why don't you go hurt him? I'd rather punch a cabinet. Okay, I see you.
But Allan, my thing is that I really feel like Madison should have been the one to deliver the news.
100%.
To say that, hey, this isn't working. I really did try my best, but it's really not going to happen. And, unfortunately, I did end up clicking with somebody else. What? And I will say that she should have done that way earlier.
Yeah.
Because y'all have been sneaking around and sending text messages and deleting messages and all that type of stuff. So y'all knew what y'all were doing for weeks.
Yeah.
And that makes it even worse. But for the fact that she never had the courage or the ability to be real with her husband that's even more hurtful.
Well, we'll put it like this: she don't respect him.
Yeah.
And David don't respect him either. So it's really a sad situation, but I 100% agree with you with Madison. This is your husband. You should be the one to break the news off to him. David should not be the one telling him. You get what I'm saying? You are actually married to him. So the fact that Madison wouldn't even give him the decency to basically tell him lets me know that she really thinks very low of him and things of that nature. It have nothing to do with the clothes. It have nothing to do with the Shakespeare. It have nothing to do with the car. It have nothing to do with even how he tell jokes. Or it has everything to do with, I don't even respect you enough to even tell you that, hey, I clicked with somebody else. And Madison is diabolical, if that's the word you use, Blair, because from the jump, she's been gaslighting him from the jump.
Yeah.
And the fact is, but her gaslighting was not something that, what's the word? That Allan should have been able to see past this gaslighting, because you haven't got a kiss, you haven't got a hug, you haven't got anything, right? And you have been asking for things and haven't been getting them, right? And you have to think of yourself highly enough. And that's the thing about it. One thing I will say that we are not going to talk out of both sides of our mouth. Earlier in the season, we have criticized Allan. Allan, take charge. Basically, be a man if we was to talk toxic in like that way. And listen, I understand y'all feel sorry for Allan, but y'all wouldn't date Allan. Y'all would love to be friends with someone like Allan because he can cook and things of that nature, and he's nice and he's compassionate in many ways. But as a partner, y'all wouldn't want Allan because he doesn't think of himself highly enough to where it could carry on the relationship. You would have to continue to build him and build him and build him and build him and build him. And I think when it comes to Allan, when it comes to him being gaslit and basically sitting on the couch and staying up to 4 o'clock in the morning and things of that nature, there comes a point where we look at Allan and be like, Allan, you know this now. You have enough information. What are you going to act on? Even when Michelle was trying to spell it out for you and things like that and trying to get the wheels to turn in your head, she wasn't making you see something that you didn't see. The only thing that you didn't know is that David showed up that night.
Yeah.
But you knew about how David and her hugged, though. So, like, this is not a we're not going to give you credit because, oh, Allan was ignorant. No, you chose to ignore it, right? And said, one day, if I cut off my toe, she will like me. No, nobody wants to be a wife to that. You get what I'm saying?
And honestly, Allan, like, you don't deserve that. Like, you deserve to be with somebody who wants you to keep all your toes because they think your feet are cute. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you.
like seriously.
I like that, though.
You shouldn't have to make all these agonizing changes for someone to see your worth. I will say that, yes, in a relationship or whatever, like, there are things that you want to tweak and improve for your partner, and some of those things can be superficial things, but the person still loves you for who you are as a person, regardless of if you make those changes or not. Anything else? Yeah, and I just want to give Madison just a little bit more smoke.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Who are you to say, are you coming in here guns a-blazing? You literally lied to this lady's face twice.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Maybe 3 times. Why are you showing your whole behind right now? The nerve of her.
This is what I don't get. I'm actually going to take the opposite side of this. Okay. Right? For one, Madison, if you are stepping out on your husband with another castmate husband, right? For one, you are a cheater. Number 2, you don't know how to fight. You had too many conversations as a cheater, right? If you're a cheater, you need to know how to fight, and fighting need to be the first response to everything. The minute that you have one conversation with Michelle, no, like, oh, did David meant to text you? I don't think so. Like, no. And then when Michelle want to pull you again, you ball your fist up and say, you get away from me with all these questions, right? Like, because at the end of the day, you know you're in the wrong. Like, so I don't understand this whole, like, are you gonna come guns a-blazing, or are you gonna basically have a conversation? You, as the cheater, is not right, but you, as the cheater, knowing that your husband is crashing out outside, you should have been fighting Michelle on some, like, you did this to my husband. Okay. Because you're the cheater. You have no morals,
okay,
right?
And I have a different perspective for that. Okay. Madison should have gone in apologetic. And she should have gone in with the truth. And the thing is,
you're so much better than me.
Y'all have a connection. Y'all have a connection.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And, I'm not going to beat them into the ground for them, having a connection. I think the way that they went about it was snaky. And they could have saved people a lot of time and energy if they would have just came out earlier and said, hey, this isn't working. But for Madison to sit up there and just be nasty and act like she actually has a leg to stand on in a conversation with Michelle, girl, your head need to be down and you need to be sorry, asking for forgiveness. Stop playing.
My thing is, hey, look, if you gonna be the cheater, you better have hands. You better have hands. Like, so it's like, it's just too much conversation for Madison point. But we already know why they did it that way. They did it that way because they wanted to basically get through the decision there, because they know that Madison was going to say no to Allan. Michelle was definitely going to say no to David, right? And they was going to make it seem like, look what happened to us in our marriages and blah, 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 blah. And now we found love in a hopeless place. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, we saw the game, they peeped it, production peeped it, and they gave Michelle the little, the little crumb for her to basically be like, oh, it's my intuition. It's not your intuition.
Right.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
I have a question for y'all next episode, so make sure y'all watch the next deep dive, and I want y'all honest opinion on that. That one's probably going to be our shortest deep dive, because I really want to read the comments on that one. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. See y'all.
Bye.